What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back with some more Spider-Man 2 gameplay for you. And today I'll be talking about the end game of Spider-Man 2 and the repercussions of what I think will eventually lead to the eventual Spider-Man 3. Even though that's not confirmed, I think we all can see that there's probably got to be a third one in the series. So obviously there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this video. So if you've not beaten the game, please turn the video off right now and beat the game before you get in here. So spoiler warning, you have been warned, as I'm going to go through a lot of what happened during the game as well as the end game and the end credit scenes to summarize what I think could be lead to the eventual and inevitable Spider-Man 3. So without further ado, let's jump right into this and let's start with the actual ending of the game itself. At the conclusion of the game, we barely survived by the skin of our teeth, with Harry basically kind of life support, but nonetheless still barely alive. And even though his father should be happy that, the symbiote was separated from him, unfortunately, Norman does not view it that way. And Norman, basically seeing Harry in the state he is, blames Spider-Man for laying him down and letting his son in this way. And this ultimately leads to what I think a lot of us have been assuming has to happen. And even though it's not confirmed it's necessarily going to be this way, I feel like it has to be this way. But obviously this is probably the ultimate step that's going to lead Norman into his Green Goblin phase. Because he's always had a big presence in Spider-Man 1 and 2, obviously, just looming in the background. But never quite going into that Green Goblin persona. And I just feel like for the third one, a major villain like him has to be making a whole big, huge step and impact for the third one. But what I did not expect was the fact that he's not maybe doing this alone. And actually this gives me something I've always kind of wanted to see in any type of video game or movie or whatnot, is having him and Doc Ock possibly really work together. And I'll be the first one to admit, I consider Doc Ock and Green Goblin Spider-Man's two greatest villains. I know the symbiotes are probably more popular, people think they're cooler, and I get it, but Norman and Octavius are Spider-Man's two greatest villains, and seeing them, even though with the tensions between them, obviously, both of them having a common enemy and Spider-Man ruining their lives, and obviously Norman trying to get the identity of Spider-Man out of Dr. Octopus, it's just really interesting. I'm really curious to see where they go with this, and obviously Doc Ock talking about the final chapter. What that means, I have no idea, but with this game, Spider-Man 2 being even more personal than the first one, I feel like the third one, if that's even possible, might even be more personal than the second one, with both of these guys, and then both of them possibly knowing, I don't know if Doc Ock will tell Norman of Peter being Spider-Man, but if he does, oh my god, I can only imagine Peter's poor life, because that man cannot catch a break, and with these two guys possibly on the same page, that is a dynamic duo from hell. But I'm all for it, because from a narrative standpoint, that is going to be really interesting. But this is a cool concept, and I really can't wait to see how it's executed in the eventual third one. Another big thing that was alluded to in the end credit scene, or the multiple credit scenes we got, was the fact that Peter possibly stepping aside, not leaving or retiring the Spider-Man mantle, I say, but just basically letting Miles possibly be the guy kind of doing the majority of work, so that Peter could have maybe a little bit of semblance of a life to himself, and not always having to leave every time his spider app is going off telling him of a crime going everywhere, and Miles basically accepting that so that he could spend more time with MJ and actually have a life. And I do like that. And obviously if they do a third one, they're not going to shortchange Peter Parker. He's going to be a big influence. Obviously you wouldn't have a Spider-Man game without him. But I am happy to see him trying to take steps to just, enjoying a somewhat semblance of his life. Because let's be honest, Peter needs a break. I mean, he has been doing this, I don't know the exact timeline, but you can just tell he's just getting worn down by it. And he just, not to say I want him to retire, obviously, no, but just have moments where he can enjoy it. It seems like every time he tries to have one day off, he even jokes about it in the game, it's like somebody has to come out and do something. It's like, can him and MJ, enjoy their life a little bit? They can always be there, and as Miles says, he's always going to look for him for guidance if he needs it, even though Pete says he's probably beyond it. But there'll be a time that they all need each other, and I like that, and I feel like that's satisfying. But this also opens the door for another thing, because we had another end credit scene which I didn't see coming, and also maybe Pete possibly taking a step back to let other heroes help out and join the fray, because we had another person revealed in the end credit scene. And that was Cindy Moon, aka Silk. So I don't know what they're going to do with Silk. I didn't really see this coming, but I don't know if they're going to do what they did with Miles, have their own game, or if they're just going to incorporate in a third one. But once again, it just involves having more heroes helping out. So we might have a whole Spider-Man family soon. One mission that had a beginning but didn't have a resolution was the Chameleon mission. It was a nice touch to see Chameleon in this game. I think he could have a really cool concept as a villain in this type of game. But is that going to be safe for a third one? I feel like this would be better used for, DLC, how they did it in the first one with the whole Black Cat heist, Hammerhead and Silver Sable thing. Just from the fact that he has direct ties to Kraven. And I feel like that would just be more better used as DLC for Spider-Man 2 instead of going for a third one. But if they do go for a third one, I'm not going to complain. Just the possibilities of what they could do, just having them be anyone and disguise everyone, I can see the whole potential of that. But I do believe it would be better used as DLC for Spider-Man 2 than, say, for Spider-Man 3. But either way, the potential of this mission and side quest, just having Chameleon could basically be anyone and fool the Spider-Man, I think has a lot of potential and just be kind of unique and different. So I'm all for it. So I'm really curious to see what they use for the future of Chameleon. Another side quest that was left unfinished was the whole Flame. And I'll be honest, when I saw the Flame, I couldn't figure out who this person was. And I know they had some ties in a comic, but I'm not 100% very knowledgeable on who the Flame is because I just didn't get it. But when I saw this symbiote come out at the end, and then when their name was revealed, basically revealing themselves to be have an alias, and one of the alias being Cletus Cassidy, this is basically confirmation that this character is eventually going to be Carnage. Now, this is interesting because once again, I made the case with Chameleon that would probably be better set as DLC, but this whole symbiote thing is also something probably very exclusive to the sequel. I don't think it's going to be something returned to the third one, but I could be wrong. But you could also argue this would be better set as DLC. The only problem is that I just feel like Carnage, he's not Chameleon, obviously. Or Chameleon's not Carnage, I should say. I think Carnage is a pretty dangerous, epic villain. And I just feel like, I don't know, and maybe they could do it right in DLC, I don't know. But the whole part about that is, if they say for the third one, that's going to be basically Green Goblin and Doc Ock. So I'm just curious of how they're going to use him and do him. Not to mention little connections with Yuri and this character. So I'm really interested to see what they do. And this could easily be DLC, but I'm not sure if it's going to be DLC or is it going to be, say for the third one. I say Carnage is a pretty epic and dangerous villain. And is this going to be like more of a tag team in combination with Spider-Man and Rafe, I should say. But I'm real curious to see how they do that and what they're going to do with that. Because, as I said, before Spider-Man 2 came out, I was wondering if they're going to do anything with Carnage or save it for the next one. But they do reveal him, and he does kind of get away with it and doesn't really see it. And by the way, he doesn't turn into Carnage. He just has the symbiote in the vial. We don't know when he's going to use it or how he's going to look. But as intimidating and crazy as Venom looked in this one, I can only imagine what Carnage is going to look and how that's going to be. But I don't know if it's going to be DLC or save for a whole new game. But that's going to be really, really interesting. And I wonder how they're going to pull it off and do it. But only time will tell. But nonetheless, that's a pretty major thing that we'll just have to wait and see what they're going to do with that. But yeah, you got two villains there. Chameleon, which I probably could see more as DLC. But Carnage, I feel like he should be in a major game. But I don't know if that's going to clash with the whole plot, or maybe they'll be able to pull it off. But we shall see. And also, is it going to be a tag team with Rafe? Because it is kind of tied into her in this one, how they did in the sequel. But only time will tell. And the last thing I'll talk about, which this could be an Easter egg or just a fun cameo, or it possibly could be alluding to a possible crossover, is the whole Spider-Verse thing at the end of the mission where you collect the spider bots for the bartender Delilah. And she even drops the Miguel name, so that's also very interesting. But I'd say it could be an Easter egg, or it could be possibly alluding to what's going to happen in the future, which would be really cool because that opens up a whole new level of possibilities of having lots of characters and maybe having a multi-dimensional adventure, or maybe just a side quest based on that, which would be really, really cool. And I just feel like this may be a way they possibly introduce someone like a Spider-Gwen, who would be a fan favorite and people would like to see. But nonetheless, there's a lot of things we can anticipate, talk about, and speculate all day long. But either way, I can't wait to what they do with the third one, or possibly DLC for the second one. But that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. What do you think they're going to do with these events I talked about? And if there's anything I missed, let me know in the comment section if you think they're going to be brought up in future games. But that is going to be it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back on the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all later. Peace.